Alright guys, winding down the Reddit AMA thread here. I've been at it for 3 hours straight, so I think I'm going to probably knock off for the day, but I do appreciate all the questions that came in, and we'll end with a more lighthearted one, as usual. Let's go with Bodatanada. Writes, kind of a softball question, but since I've taken the red pill on global tyranny, I've been under a lot of stress. I understand this is somewhat inevitable so long as illegitimate powers continue to be. And while I have found some hobbies to help alleviate this tension, I was wondering, what do you like to do for leisure in the sunny climes of Western Japan? I also just want to thank you for maintaining inimitable integrity in independent internet journalism. Wow, that is a tagline. Inimitable integrity in independent internet journalism. I'm going to have to work on that one. All right, thank you very much for the question, and you raise an important point. I mean, I know you say that this is kind of a softball, but I think this is an actually genuinely important point, because the stress that you are identifying is the stress that I think everyone who is encountering this information and taking it seriously and going through it feels at some point, and if not at all points, when involved in this. Myself included, I'm sure, again, everyone goes through this process of being stressed out over this, and obviously it's not hard to see why. I mean, again, this is some extremely important and dark information in a lot of ways. So how do you alleviate the stress? What do you do for leisure? It's such a good question because, I don't know, a decade ago, I think I was more of a regular Joe in my leisure sense as well. I mean, I followed sports, and I like to watch movies and TV and things like that. I don't really do any of that anymore. Like, I don't know. Partially it's, I don't want to. I don't feel the need for that. I don't watch TV shows. Partially I don't have time. I mean, I guess maybe I might watch more movies or something if I had time, but I'd probably prefer to read books anyway, if I had the time. But actually, I mean, now that I'm a parent, of course, all of that changes once you become a parent. And so now my leisure time is spent with my family and is spent with my son chasing pigeons in the park, or with my daughter playing on the floor, crawling around, that kind of thing. And I think that's not only important. I mean, honestly, I think my work as a parent is probably more important for the future of humanity than the work that I do on the website. Because ultimately this is a generational process, and it is about the next generation and passing on the collective wisdom of previous generations and what we've managed to accrue in our own time. That is the real work, and raising human beings who will be able to think independently and act on that independent thought is the most important thing we can do to maintain the kernel of humanity. So, not to put it in too grandiose terms, but honestly, parenting is the most important thing. But actually, it raises an important point, because something that I've noticed even in myself, I mean, I see this and I critique it and I talk about it, but I see it even in myself, is that the more and more we get into this World Wide Web and the 24/7 timeline, Twitter timeline and all of this, and the technology that's becoming smaller and more portable and handier, and you can't leave your home without your slave device and all of this, really, it truly is. It's not an exaggeration. This is not a metaphor. It truly is rewiring our brains, and it really is starting to cut down on an attention span that was already alarmingly low because of the TV medium. The internet media is making that attention span shorter and shorter and shorter, and it's affecting me too. It's harder and harder for me to sit down and read a book, or sit down and write an article without being distracted 18 times. Check email, check Twitter, do this, do that. There's always distractions. So I'm really appreciating more and more non-screen time. Non-screen time is such an important part of this. If your leisure activities revolve around screen time of any sort, watching movies, TV, video games, internet, then you're not really ever going to escape the stress, I think. I think we have to reconnect with the real world. And I made a video about this, which interestingly was probably I got more kind of kickback and controversy around that video than around any of the conspiracy work I've done for a very long time. And it was solutions: turn off your TV. That was the message. Just, hey guys, I mean, why not just turn off your TV, go outside? And it ended with the message, haven't you had enough screen time for today? Why don't you turn off your device and go outside? And I got a lot of people against me for that one. Oh, why are you judging us for watching TV? It's, well, no, if you want to watch TV, watch TV, but leave some time to go outside, see the world, experience fresh air. I really do think that's such an important part of unwinding, disconnecting, having leisure, rediscovering what leisure is. Leisure does not mean just sitting in front of a screen and accepting more programming. There's an active participatory role to doing something, going outdoors, doing anything. Just take a walk even. Just something to connect you with the outside world. And, to get away from this madness just for a while. So anyway, as I've said many, many times, I think people would be surprised in my family life, in my non-online life, I'm not constantly thinking and talking about these things. I get enough of that online and with all the people I interact with online that my wife is the least political person I've ever known, and we never ever talk about politics or these kinds of things because I need to disconnect from this, as everyone does. And that's how I've managed to maintain my sanity. And I recommend it. And if people need to just take a break from this information for a while, then take a break. Ultimately, your health and your sanity is more important than knowing what's happening in this precise second so that you can get prepared for the coming apocalypse. Take a breath, go outside, reconnect with the outside world, with people, get to know people instead of interacting online in social media spaces where you can get outraged about this and hate that person for that. Have real human connection. And, if you can find a hobby that does all of those things, that takes you outdoors and gets you connected with people, that's awesome. Whatever that is, join a running club, whatever it is, whatever you're into, just find a way to do that. And again, I think that's exceptionally, it's not a softball question. This is an important part of the whole picture, because this is about the whole picture of humanity, of life, of what it is we're even doing. If all we're doing is trying to preserve some freedom so that we can get outraged with people online or whatever, then we're not really escaping the matrix. So kind of a big philosophical question too. A softball question, but I do appreciate the question. Thank you for that. And I appreciate all the questions in this Reddit thread. I will link this up on my site for my listeners and viewers who haven't checked out the thread and the questions and answers and the responses. I hope to do it again in the future. Thank you all for your time.